Okay, so hi guys, I'm going to be working on a kind of impressionistic barn painting. As you can see, I've kind of done a little bit of a sketch so I know where the barn's going to be. This is obviously going to be sky and then some grass. I may even put some trees and some shrubs or something, some bushes. But I kind of want to show you, I'm going to use a palette knife to do this. I've got a bunch of different size palette knives that you can do abstract with. Here's a couple different ones. I'm going to use this one to start with. They kind of all do a little bit of a different type of texture. The main thing is I want this sky to have more of a gray blue. So I've got a couple different colors of blue here. And this is aqua, this is light blue, it's a pool blue. This one is cobalt metallic blue, and this is silver and black. And so we're gonna use the majority, a lot of white. And I've got some heavy flow. This is heavy flow white, which will give it a little bit more thickness and some substance. So here we go. I'm gonna start with a heavy amount of white. I'm just gonna put that over this whole thing. Including the sides. You don't want to forget the sides unless you're going to frame them. As you can see, I'm kind of covering up this, but that's okay because I have a picture of it and I know where it's going to be. Probably hard to see the texture. There is quite a bit of texture, so I'm just getting this pretty wet. And then we'll start adding some color into it. Now, the thing is, this is heavy flow, so it's going to take a little bit longer to dry, but I do have the door open because it's beautiful out today. So I don't want it to dry completely before I start mixing colors, so I'm going to start with this amount. I'm just going to add a little bit of this teal into it. Actually, quite a bit of silver. And probably most likely go back over it with a lot of blue. Or I'm sorry, a lot of white. This is just the base. So I'm just kind of using the flat end of this. I'm going to show you what another one does here in a second. A little bit of black. A little bit of a darker color here. Don't worry, this is much darker than it's going to be in the end. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm running low on white, but like I said, we're using a lot of white, so I'm gonna, this is where it gets expensive. To get a nice good texture, you have to use a lot of paint. See how thick this white is? We want it to be thick. We want it to be real thick. Get some more white on here. This is heavy bodied acrylic, so it's very thick. Versus some of the other white paint that I use, you kind of put it on and it, you know, it kind of pools because it's not that thick. Now, I'll show you another, there's another palette knife. This one's flat. It's got a little bit of a raised arch. Watch what this one does. It's almost like fun that is. It's like icing a cake. How many of you guys have iced a cake? Typically, these are techniques that I share in one of my abstract workshops, but since obviously leaving the house is not an option during quarantine, and just remember, we'll look back at this and we'll all be like, oh, remember when we couldn't leave the house? Now, I've got quite a bit on here, and I'm just gonna scrape a little bit of it off. Oh, look at that, isn't that crazy? Just because we don't want it to, if it's too heavy with acrylic and the top layer dries before the bottom layer, which definitely can happen, it does kind of a really cool technique, which I'm not sure I really want for this painting, but it's like a crackling, because basically the underneath layer dries slower than the top layer. So I apologize right now too, because I do have my kids home, as do most people that have children right now, because they do not have school. So I kind of use this knife, and now I'm going to show you a different one. Here's like a little skinnier one. And you still want to hold it flat. Like if you hold it this way, you see how it scrapes the paint off. If you hold it flat, I'll take some of the paint over here, and over here. See how that's just kind of like a, don't worry, I've got a little paint here, I noticed. Oops. I am a very sloppy painter. As you can see, there's a lot of paint. Look at this. It's all over the handle. I normally would do this in my studio, but, you know, trying to keep everybody healthy. I don't need to leave, especially since I just came home from Brazil. I was at the airport last week, so I would hate to have gotten something and shared it with some of my favorite people. That would not be cool. Okay, so, ooh, look at that. Go back to, and here's another, oh, let me get some of this off. These are really easy to clean too. It's a water-based paint, so it's pretty, oh, I just got paint in my hair. It's pretty easy. Just kind of spreading it out. This has got a little bit of a texture. This is basically giving it texture. This is just the, now I'm not going to use a palette knife per se on barn, not for the whole thing. I'm going to paint it in, and then I'm going to add a little bit the roughness. I'll definitely add in some paint, some palette knife. Let me give it a little texture, but if you have too much texture, because this is an impressionistic piece, not an abstract, because the difference would be the abstract, you don't really know what it is that the subject matter is besides color. Besides color and texture. So an even amount of pressure on it. Different texture. Now I'm kind of going more of the horizontal on the sky area. Do you guys know why? Oh. Mix that with some black. The reason why is because the barn's gonna have horizontal lines on it, because the planks of barns typically go up and down. So I wanted to take some of this paint off. Maybe I'm like, oh, you know what, it's just getting a little bit too heavy. Scrape it off. Now I don't want to waste paint because I might need this later. This is kind of like a gray blue color, so I'm just gonna scrape some of that paint off here. Maybe add a little bit more white. It's got a little bit too dark. What if I decided I wanted to go back and forth, so there's another kind of makes it look not exactly horizontal, but maybe it's a little stormy day. Oh, just make it a little bit less. Put a little bit more white in here. Just so it's not so stormy. Just a little bit more. I'm kind of happy with this, I think, for right now. Just gonna add some of this extra paint on the sides. Now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna scrape This is the line of barn. So I'm just gonna kind of make it a little bit more You could literally play with this for hours. Sometimes I do. Great. So, I'm also gonna add, probably when this is done, I have this like little bit of an iridescent shimmer in light. clean up those lines just a little bit. Not sure if you guys can hear me because I'm whispering. So that is how you can work with different knives to get a little texture. Just put paint places to tell my husband. All right, we're gonna pause this for a minute.